Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's second in the Microsoft in Sector webinar series. And today we'll be focusing on the education sector. My name is Nicola Miller, and I'm joined by my colleague Steve Gray, and we are both business development managers for the SureStep team from Ingram Micro. And we are both delighted to be joined by Rosie Slack, who is the partner development manager from Microsoft. So the agenda looks like this: partnering with Ingram Micro and your journey in Microsoft in education, how you can enroll and deploy, the fun subjects of education licensing, and how to set up with success with our Ucc bundles. And then finally, we have the Azure, resource, and next steps. And please note, we'll be having a live Q&A at the end of this webinar. So if you do have any questions, then please do not hesitate to ask by utilising the Q&A box. Now over to you, Rosie.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone for attending this conference today. It's an excellent step, and there's so much amazing content available for you. So today I'm going to be taking us through a quick look at some of our changes to the education platform, the impacts that COVID has had on our market, and then focusing on our licensing models, in particular our CSP and our Microsoft 365 education suites. The impact of COVID on the industry has been absolutely huge. There are a few things on this slide that I wanted to call out, namely through our partners, partnering with our distributors, we're able to reduce the educator resistance to teaching through technology. So huge programs like the incentives for the Department for Education, or through just kind of people on the ground speaking to their schools and their customers about how to transform their education is no easy task. When we look at the way that the workforce is shifting and those changes in desirable jobs, we need to ensure that we're preparing the students for the jobs of tomorrow. And that's largely impacted and enhanced through the way that they use technology in school. We're seeing an increased openness to using cloud technologies in the classroom, not just through Microsoft, but through our competitors as well. It's a great way to start bringing on young people into using technology in their everyday lives. And that's all underpinned by the resurgence of one-to-one devices in the classroom and the readiness of education to respond to new and changing ways of working. At Microsoft, our ways of working are underpinned by ensuring that we are benefiting the three key areas of K-12 education: the staff, the learning, and the organization. Through partnering with people like Ingram Micro, you'll be able to support your customers to enhance the ability of them to adopt technology in the classroom and beyond using Microsoft. And we understand that educators don't just purchase devices, they want a solution. As schools around the world responded to COVID, the need for remote learning tools has never been more urgent. To make the transition to distance learning easier, we've created resources, training, and how-to guides that we hope will help schools, educators, students, and their families as they navigate the new normal. And joining the conference today is just one way that you can help your customers through the new changes that COVID have brought to education. And by that, we know that schools aren't just looking for the devices, not just putting those into the classrooms and perhaps never using them again. They need to ensure that they are enrolled and deployed in the right way to enable and truly empower our students and educators to continue the work they're doing. So we're going to spend some time looking at Intune, what is Intune, and kind of the core concepts behind that. We'll also be going into our education licensing and how you manage Intune alongside our other suites. So firstly, what is Intune for Education? So Microsoft Intune for Education is a cloud-based mobile device management service for schools. It helps teachers and students stay productive on classroom devices and keep school data secure. And with Intune for Education, you can manage the desktop and mobile devices students use to access classroom data. You can configure and assign the apps that they use in the classroom. And you can control how students and teachers access and share classroom information. Each school's security requirements can be managed through Intune for Education, and this, of course, is available on all devices, not just Windows 10 devices. With every license for Intune for Education, you also get a full license for Intune. So through automating the process of managing and configuring devices and users, it helps save time and money. It improves the student experience and the consistency of experience for users. Automation is key to the work that we do, which underpins the value of Microsoft in education. And School Data Sync, or SDS, goes hand in hand with Intune for Education to reduce the workload on staff. SDS is a free service in Office 365 for Education that reads the school and roster data from a school student information system and brings it into Office 365 and AAD. This user and group provisioning management service has several key app integration scenarios: Teams for Education, OneNote Class Notebook, Office 365 Groups for Exchange, Online and SharePoint Online, Intune for Education, and third-party app integration. SDS integrates with numerous apps within the Microsoft Store and enables rostering and single sign-on using app integration through ingested data brought in. So if we think of automation and modern deployment as the walls of our house, licensing is the foundations that these are built on. So I'm going to spend some time now looking at the 3 different licensing models, but in particular CSP, which is our most recent licensing model. And within CSP, I'm going to be talking about Microsoft 365 and the suites that add value to your customers that are available through Ingram Micro as a direct CSP. We live in an amazing time of technological progress. Every aspect of our lives is being shaped by this digital transformation. Over the past few years, even more so in the last few months, we've been experiencing a fundamental learning shift from passive understanding of information to active understanding and participation. The way in which educators teach and assess and how students learn, how students and teachers capture content, use information and share knowledge are all rapidly changing. We're under no illusion that technology alone is driving this education transformation. Dedicated administrators, teachers, partners are all key to driving this change in education and empowering creativity and ingenuity in education. I'm now going to take us through our 3 licensing models and the differences between each one. We have 3 licensing options: CSP, ES, and OVS ES. I'm sure all of you are familiar with OVS ES, which is our oldest model of licensing, and it is the one that majority of the market is on at the moment. It requires very minimal institution commitment, so it requires a minimum of 5 FTEs, full-time equivalents, employees or students, but does require an organizational-wide commitment for either 1 or 3 years. It can't be changed any time between this, but it's the one that majority of our market is on. ES is kind of in the middle of CSP and OVS ES, so it's still the same as OVS ES in the way that you can only amend it every 1 or 3 years. So if anything changes in between that period, you can't make any amendments. But it's first of all, it's only available through our LSP partners, our licensing solution partners, and it's only for organizations with 1,000 or more seats. Student use benefit is available on this, as it is across all of our licensing models. But this one does require a lot more organizational-wide commitment, despite there being more availability of products compared to OVS ES. Now, CSP is our most recent licensing model, and it's the one that offers the most flexibility. Because it's our newest, there are things that are changing and new products becoming available every year. So first of all, CSP is the easiest. There's no upfront commitment, and student use benefit is available across this as well. The minimum requirement is 1 user and can go up to 1,000 users in a school. And this offers the most flexibility. You can stop and start this license whenever you like. So at the beginning of the year, you have 150 faculty, but actually that drops throughout the year or things change. Then CSP offers the most flexibility in utilizing the tools that are available. So let's round up on the offerings we've seen and focus on the agreements they're available in. ES has all the licenses apart from M365A1, which we'll come to later. CSP is everything apart from the device-based subscriptions for Office 365 Pro Plus. And then we can see OVS ES only have a selection of the licenses available. So you will have seen on the previous slide, through CSP and ES, we are licensing our customers with online services rather than on-premise products as it has been in the past. So let's look at what's available. You can see here that through the enterprise and business solutions, we have the Office 365 E3 and E5, and the Windows 10 Enterprise E3 and E5. In Microsoft Education, you have the academic versions of these, so A3 or A5. You have the Windows 10 Education and the EMS Solutions E3 and E5. But to create their more specialist product, we've also added in Minecraft for Education. So let's look at this in a slightly different way. So most of you will be familiar with our free Office 365 product, which is free and always has been free for education. That's the one that majority of our customers on and offers the free online version of the Office 365 suite. Where this differs to Microsoft 365 is in the core and the premium versions. You get the Office client apps, not just the online versions. You also get the advanced security and management tools, advanced threat protection, and Intune for Education is a full license. You also get Azure Active Directory and advanced threat analytics. And of course, as mentioned on the last slide, Minecraft for Education Edition, which is going to be key to how our schools are changing and adapting their way to deliver hybrid and new ways of teaching. I really like this slide as a way to show what the different products offer. So feel free to snip this and share this with your customers. So we've just put this into a good, better, best format. So you've got the Office 365 A1 to the left there, so the good. Where you've got the online versions of the Office 365 suite and the offline version of Teams and OneNote. So you can see this is a good place to start if you're looking at changing and slowly stepping into that digital transformation. You get 6 months of Intune and you get a Windows 10 Pro license. Microsoft 365 A3 and A5 is where we move into the more premium and more value-add options that we have in education. So you get the full offline versions of the Office 365 suites, but then advanced analytics and advanced threat protection. So you can start to look at actually how we can amend and adapt our digital transformation holistically, how we can start to perhaps look at our endpoint management and move that onto the tools that are included within the Microsoft 365 suite. So as promised, let's now look at CSP. And let's just have another look at what's available on CSP. So you can see that CSP offers a wide variety of products, including the Microsoft 365 A1 device-based license, which is only available on CSP. ES differs in this, and that is not available. Microsoft 365 A1 is not available in ES, and let's not forget that this is only available through our LSP partners. So those of you that have worked with Microsoft and have worked with Ingram Micro for a while will be familiar with some of the changes that happen for education customers within CSP. So firstly, the Authorized Education Partner Program was finished in 2019, which means that partners who used to be on this program now should start to look at how they can resell CSP to their customers, not just from a customer point of view, but also looking at those investment programs that are available through Microsoft when you sell CSP as an indirect. So the end of the Authorized Education Partner Program was one change, and the other change is moving away from FTE. So FTE is now classed as Education Qualified User, which is a much simpler way to figure out who needs licensing. So very simply, an education qualified user is any employee or contractor, not students, who accesses or uses the platform products for the benefit of the institution. And for those customers, we say license them with an education platform product. Any other users who don't use a device or a license for the benefit of the institution should be considered as a light user, and they should be licensed using the free Office 365 A1 product. Within CSP, as I mentioned at the start, the licensing and the management of these is much more simple. So licenses are price protected for a 12-month period, but during this time, you are probably going to be charged by your partner, or you're going to be charging your customers on a monthly basis. So you can chop and change your licenses as and when required, and there's no minimum commitment to cover the use. So we're now going to have a look at the special use rights that are available for products that are acquired through CSP. And it's worth stating just now that these are less than those equivalent licenses under EES. It's one of the benefits of the EES program. But let's look at what you can do. First of all, licenses of Office and Office 365 A3 and A5 give rights to standard and enterprise CALs for Exchange, SharePoint, and Skype for Business. Then EMS E3 and E5 give rights to the Windows and System Center components of the Windows CAL suite. But if we were to look at the Microsoft 365 Education A3 and A5, then these licenses only give use rights as per the individual products. The extra rights available in ES are not available for CSP customers. Exchange, SharePoint, and Skype for Business Server are not available in CSP, and thus there are no rights to install these products. Office Professional Plus or earlier versions of Windows are not available either, and thus the rights to install these products are not included in licenses acquired through CSP. So let's now look in detail around Microsoft 365 Education. Microsoft 365 focuses on driving empowerment in 3 key areas: unlocking creativity in students, promoting teamwork, and providing a simple and safe experience through Microsoft 365. So you can really see here the value that moving to a Microsoft 365 suite offers. It's namely around the Office 365 suite, the Enterprise Ability and Security, and the Minecraft Education Edition full license. It's important to know that the Microsoft 365 license suite underpins the value of managing identity, security, and data protection for your customers. And one of the suites that's available within CSP, which is not available in any of our other licensing models, is the Microsoft 365 A1, which is our only device-based license and is perfect for schools who have shared devices or rooms of which there are devices not assigned to an individual. If we think about Microsoft 365 as a family, we know that it includes Office 365, Windows 10, and security and management tools. The new Microsoft 365 A1 follows this pattern too. And you can see on the left that it includes Office 365 A1, Windows 10 Pro Upgrade, and Intune for Education. If you look on the right-hand side, you can see where it fits into this family, but where it differs is its device license. You can see there's a price of $30, and that's for the lifetime of the device. How long is that? It's considered to be 6 years, and we'll look at some transactional details later on. This device license can be assigned to new or existing devices. You can imagine it's great for Windows 7 or even 8 devices because of the Windows 10 Pro upgrade license. It's also great for brand new devices, but it includes Windows Autopilot. You haven't heard of this? Imagine the traditional way of setting up a device. The IT department takes delivery of a new device and prepares it with an image or a collection of drivers and settings or whatever they need, and then sends it to the user all ready to go. With Windows Autopilot, you can set up profiles with the settings you want, link them to new machines, and then a user can take delivery and do the setup process when the machine connects to Azure Active Directory, and it links to the profile of the user. It sets the machine as the IT department configured in the profile. Very useful. So let's look at some transactional information here. We've already said that this license will only be available through CSP. In terms of the licensing rules, we know it's a device license and there aren't really reassignment rights. If a machine fails, you can replace it with exactly the same type of machine after permanent hardware failure, then that's fine, but not otherwise. We said that the term of the lifetime of the device, which is considered to be 6 years, and unlike other CSP subscriptions, this one doesn't auto-renew. In terms of pricing, we knew that ERP is $30 for the full term, and your Ingram Micro representative will be able to provide the price in pounds for you. And you can see a couple of other points here. There's no differentiated pricing for faculty and students, and you can't cancel the subscription. There's also no notion of student use benefits associated with it. Now it's time to focus on the licensing of students. Student use benefit is available to institutions who license all their faculty and staff for qualifying products, and it enables them to receive free of charge corresponding licenses to license their students. The number of student use benefit licenses that are available to institutions depends on the product. You'll either multiply the number of licenses you bought for faculty and staff by 15 or 40. More on that as we come to the individual SKUs. And you'll transact these licenses with $0 SKUs or £0 SKUs. Institutions will need to assign licenses to their students so that they're enabled for the service. And finally, we see that students' use benefit licenses are available to customers buying through any of the programs that we're looking at in this session today. So it's available across OVS, EES, and CSP. So these licenses correspond to the products that you've purchased. If you've purchased a suite of tools, such as Microsoft 365 A3 or A5, you receive 1 to 40. So for every one of those licenses, you receive 40 student use benefits. If you buy an individual product, let's say, for example, Minecraft for Education, you'll receive 1 to 15. So for every suite of tools, you get 1 to 40, and for individual products, it's 1 to 15. Appendix H in the product terms document is specifically concerned with student use benefits, as you can see here, and it's worth calling out a couple of the rules. First, students licensed via student use benefit licenses do not receive rights to access license on-premise servers. Separate licenses for the students must be purchased if this access is required. And secondly, the sub-licenses do not include the rights to access Windows Virtual Desktop, but they have no other virtualization rights. We've already talked about Intune for Education in terms of automation of managing users and devices. I'm now going to talk about how to license it separately. So we've seen that it's included within the M365 suite of tools, but sometimes it needs to be purchased separately based on what your customers already have. Let's have a recap. Intune for Education is a cloud-based service that delivers easy setup and control of Windows 10 apps and devices in the classroom. Intune for Education is at the core of a modern platform to deliver breakthrough learning experiences. Microsoft's cloud technologies can be deployed alongside or integrate easily with your existing infrastructure. Let's start with one area that we've got consistent feedback from our customers and partners. How about an easier way to set up and control devices? In response, we created Intune for Education. We're taking a rock-solid product built on top of our commercial Intune offering, making it easier to access. With easier deployment, with the new Windows 10, it's easier than ever to set up a new PC, including very light touch device configuration using a USB key. Simple enrollment, zero-touch management, and shared devices can all be easily set up. It's also designed specifically for education. There are smart defaults for schools and the ability to target granular policies by device or user groups after syncing using your MIS data using School Data Sync. It scales to the environment, so part-time IT staff or even part-time IT partners can manage Windows 10 devices through a visual console. IT experts can apply custom policies and support iOS, Mac, and Android devices with a more full-featured console. Very large school districts using System Center Configuration Manager can take full advantage of Windows Intune for Education through an integrated management console. It's also easy to buy. Let's look at how we can license it. We know that no one size fits all. Whether optimizing budget or purchasing Intune for Education at the time of a device purchase or stretching each pound by purchasing per user, Intune for Education provides what you need to manage your devices while providing purchasing flexibility. If you have budget this year only, buy Intune for Education per device, priced at $30. You'll be able to get price in pounds from Ingram Micro. This is a one-time expense with no annual fee and no limit to the number of users on the licensed device. If you have an annual budget, subscribe to Intune for Education per user, priced at $8.28 per year with student use benefit, which means students at no cost with 100% staff and faculty coverage. Many customers will find that purchasing Intune within the Enterprise Ability and Security Suite is more cost-effective and provides more value to their institute. So what's the difference between Microsoft Intune and Microsoft Intune Device SKU? Microsoft Intune is a user-based subscription service. It's a license per user per month, allowing up to 15 devices per user. Microsoft Intune Device SKU is a device-based subscription service for devices that are not affiliated with specific users, such as digital signage, public kiosks, and phone room devices. It is licensed per device per month. Product features with user affinity, including but not limited to conditional access, app protection policies, email and calendar, and optional app installation are not permitted within Microsoft Intune Device SKU. As mentioned before, Intune for Education is available through all three of the licensing programs we've discussed. Ingram Micro will be able to help you identify the best offer for your schools and your customers. Schools that are licensed for Intune for Education will also have access to the full Intune console. With Azure AD Identity as a backbone, user and device groups, such as schools, classes, and grades, update automatically while providing insights to IT on usage patterns and any possible threats to the security of their users. Due to this common identity, all the devices and users that show up and are managed in Intune for Education will also be manageable in full Intune. This means you can leverage the new co-management capabilities with the Configuration Manager in either Intune for Education or full Intune. This concludes my part of the call today. I hope you found the information I've shared useful. Your sales representative from Ingram Micro will be able to provide the latest pricing and availability of licensing and devices. Satch talks about how Microsoft 365 is both a product and a vision. It's a vision for how we invent and deliver new experiences for our customers, focus on creativity and teamwork, and build on a simple and secure platform. It's also a vision for how we go to market with our customers, through our sales force, through our partners, and through our digital channels. So I'd like to thank Ingram Micro for inviting me to today's call. Thank you.
So by partnering with Ingram Micro, you have the added benefit of our Ucc Bundles. And this is how you can spread the payments over a period of time. So for the examples on the slide that you can see now, these are over 36 months. And here we have 3 different styles of headsets brought to you by Poly. And these bundles, which include Microsoft 365 A5 license, your chosen headset, Microsoft Teams voice setup, and 24/7 voice support for a simple monthly fee. And these can be tailored to your budget. And for our Poly Voyager, this is the ideal headset for teachers delivering a remote lesson over Teams. And these headsets come in different styles which fit your personal preference or taste. So now we move over to a more traditional headset with the Jabra. And we picked out some of the best-selling Evolve range. And again, these have been nicely bundled into an easy package for you to be tailored to your budget. And these are easy to use, and again, great headsets can be utilised for those remote lessons. So for the year we've had remote working and remote teaching, there has been a huge need, not only for headsets, but for laptops and peripherals too. And with these packages here, they're tailored, which includes the licensing. So these sample packages we have here, I've got Lenovo ThinkPad, Poly headset, a Poly conference speaker, the Microsoft 365 A5 license, the Microsoft Teams voice setup, and the 24/7 support. And these packages start from a little of 62 to 65 months, which is a much simpler, easier way to pay for your purchase rather than having that bulk outlay of cost. And here we have the Microsoft Teams Classroom bundles. We have the small room, which is 1 to 5 people, the medium, 8 to 10 people, and the large room with 10 plus people. And these come with a full installation of the Poly Studio all-in-one video conferencing range, again, with that support and the licensing bundled into one easy monthly cost. And the final slide on the bundles is the Jabra Pencast for school and classroom. And engineered to be the world's first intelligent 180-degree panoramic 4K plug-and-play solution. The Jabra Pencast works with all the leading video and audio conferencing solutions and is certified for use with Microsoft Teams. The example of the bundle is illustrated with Pencast camera, speaker, and USB plug. And as mentioned before, these are examples of the bundles that we have put together. And if you would like to create your own bundle, please speak to one of the team and they'll be able to assist you further. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicola. So we've discussed the modern workplace and devices proposition for education. And now is a chance for me to briefly talk the Jura and ensure that an education customer's infrastructure is a key topic when having a conversation. Whether this be a conversation with an existing customer or adding education customers to your go-to-market strategy moving forward. I'll then wrap up with a touch on some resources to assist you with your development in that area. The demand on technology continues to grow in the education sector. However, lower and lower budgets can make it difficult to meet this demand. In education today, teachers can potentially be required to operate across multiple sites and from home with distance learning due to the COVID crisis, and also having to continue working in their own time, marking, etc. Now, working this way, accessing data and applications can become a slow process making the experience a cool one. Now, as you can see on this busy slide, remote working is just one of the many pain points education establishments face on a daily basis, trying to do their best on aging on-premise infrastructure. In this instance, there is an opportunity to start a conversation around working remotely and potentially Windows Virtual Desktop as a solution. But there's also the opportunity to discuss security, backup and full Azure migrations, as well as hybrid solutions. Now, there's a huge opportunity in the UK education sector for cloud infrastructure. It's now the perfect time to be speaking to these customers around cloud or hybrid solutions to ensure they have resiliency, security, backup, and overall keeping their tech current. The first step would be to start having conversations with your customers. But here at Ingram, we want to make sure that you are comfortable in discussing the solutions to their pain points. So we've created some solution plays based on specific workloads and solution areas that will help you to feel more confident in pitching to your customers. But also on top of that, please feel free to get in touch with us to start having a conversation from your technical enablement, sales enablement, and marketing enablement. I'm just going to touch now on a few Microsoft resources that will assist you moving forward. I'm just going to go through a few supporting assets and resources provided by Microsoft. Now, you've got access to a lot of tools and especially go-to-market resources through our go-to-market hub on Cloud Marketplace. There's just a few education-specific resources I'm just going to touch upon now. We have the Commercial Consultant tool. Now, this tool empowers sellers to comprehensively assess complex customer scenarios, help customers discover the benefits of the Microsoft Modern Workplace solutions, and provide customer-friendly recommendations that will help to increase sales and customer success. And the reason I've mentioned that is, as a new addition, education has recently been added to this tool. We've got some additional marketing assets that are fully available to utilize, ranging from pitch decks and conversation starters through to full campaign kits across all things Microsoft and education. And also, we've got the opportunity for you to set up some demo environments on the M365 side. These allow you to spin up and showcase products and features to your end user. If you're not an expert, don't worry. Each demo comes fully equipped with talk tracks and click-through assets, allowing you to bring full confidence in the delivery. Please get in touch with any questions that you have around developing your business. We do have Accelerate programs for Azure, Dynamics, and Modern Workplace that will help drive your business forward, with assistance with go-to-market resources, sales and technical training and readiness, marketing services, professional services, and post-sale support. If you do want to learn more, please get in touch with your local account manager or with one of us with our details, which will be posted at the end of this webinar. Just enough time to have a seamless plug for a future webinar. We've got a Learn How to Position Microsoft 365 Business Premium webinar on the 19th of November, which will be hosted by Peter Graham and Chris Williamson from our Modern Workplace team. Now, Microsoft 365 has more benefits and security features than an Office 365 E3 plan and is priced at a lower price point. So it's a great upsell opportunity for organizations with less than 300 users. So join us around that to find how to position that to your customers. Following this webinar, if you have any questions that we haven't answered at the time or something pops up in your mind afterwards, or if you have any ideas for any future webinars that you would like us to discuss, add us on LinkedIn. We've got Martin Hall for Dynamics, Nicola and Mike Markey for Modern Workplace, and myself for Azure. Thanks everyone for joining us today. If you've got any further questions, stick them in the chat box now and we'll be hanging around for the next few minutes to answer them. Thanks again.
again. Thank you for joining today's webinar. If you do have any questions, we will be doing a live Q&A with Rosie. So if you do have any of those questions, or there's something that you want to know maybe a little bit deeper, then obviously use the chat box again, and then we can ask those questions. Rosie, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Perfect. That's okay. That's good when I ask the question. So we do have one question that has come in so far. So I will start with this one, and hopefully we might get some more that come in. So one of the questions that's been posed is, why would a school look to move to Microsoft 365 A3 from Office 365 A1, which is free?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, and it's one that a lot of my partners ask me on a regular basis, particularly as I am the partner development manager. You know, why would schools move to something that is paid when they could get it for free? But the main reasons that we see schools moving over to Microsoft 365 A3 over the free Office 365 A1 is for six-ish reasons, namely around obviously the student use benefits, which I covered in my piece earlier, device management with Autopilot and Intune, advanced analytics, and most importantly, there's additional security and compliance tools, so those that are in the EMS security and compliance suites.
And I suppose with remote working, that EMS piece is more prevalent now than it probably has been for quite a long time, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also a good way for schools to consider how they can reduce the overall spend on licensing, whether that's, you know, Microsoft licensing, or perhaps they can look at their endpoint protection, because a lot of the things that are covered within EMS as a suite of tools can actually, you know, reduce the cost of licensing overall. So it does have a lot of value. So a lot of people look at the pricing and say, wait a second, that's more expensive than Office 365, and that's because it's a suite of tools. And I think that's one of our biggest challenges, or at least my biggest challenge when I'm talking to end customers, and that's why it's so important for our partners to be able to articulate the value of that.
Perfect. We've also had another question which has just come in. So someone would like to know, when will the server license, so RDS, CALS, SQL, will be released for education under CSP, or will they be released under CSP?
Probably not for a couple of years, or at least 18 months. So we are releasing the kind of more on-premise based licensing into CSP for enterprise in January, but that is not coming for education for another couple of years. I don't know why. I'm not in charge of the why for that, and I find it frustrating that we don't have the kind of on-premise within CSP. But it's a good thing to ask is, you know, those workloads that we can move on to Azure or move on to the cloud or virtualize, we should be doing so. So those kind of basic workloads, so moving, you know, Azure AAD onto the cloud, virtualizing as many servers as we can, we're getting to the point now where our partners need to be in charge of that digital strategy. And we touched on what the Azure and the power of Azure within this webinar already. And I think that's really where Ingram Micro and our partners can add value to me as a Microsoft partner, but also to our schools when we look at the modernizing the education workplace.
Perfect. I think that's answered that very succinctly. Anybody else have any more questions? Nothing just yet. We'll leave it a couple more minutes and see if anything else does come through. It is your chance to ask questions. And especially with Rosie here today, who is the expert in the field on this one. Also, I'd just like to just say, if you do actually have any questions, you come away from this today, and you do think, oh, I should have asked.
If people don't want to ask in the chat, I'm more than happy for those to be sent through to me, and I can answer them offline.
Yes, perfect. So as I say, you can either pull them through to ourselves, either of us, and we can get those answered for you. As I say, just because the webinar finishes today doesn't mean that that's the end of. We're more than happy to answer those questions for you. No worries. Thank you very much for that. Also, just another one, as I say, we have got a series of webinars coming up. We also have the healthcare one, which I think is next as well. So the Microsoft in sector webinars will continue, and we also have done a non-profit one or non-profit last month. So if that also you're interested in, you can find that on our content hub. Yep, I think that's it. I think that's the end of the questioning. As I said, any questions that you do want to send through, then please send them through to myself or Rosie. Both of our pictures on this presentation today are our pictures off LinkedIn, so you should be able to play snap with them. So if you do have any questions, then please do not hesitate to send them through. Okay, lovely, that's great. Thank you very much for today. Thank you, Rosie, for joining us today, and have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye.